Well, Spain's government has announced it will grant legal status to hundreds of thousands of undocumented migrants and asylum seekers in a move that's defied rising anti-immigration sentiment worldwide. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez described the decree as crucial for the economic growth of the country, though the decision has drawn criticism from far-right groups. For more on this, let's bring in Alana Moceri, who is an international relations professor at IE University. And she joins me now from Madrid. Alana, good to have you with us on the program. So this move to regularize these 500,000 migrants, does that pave the way for them to become permanent residents or ultimately Spanish citizens in the future?
Yes, actually it does. Once you get into the system, it means that they'll be able to work legally. They'll get Spanish protections for workers, and yes, it does put you on a path not just towards permanent residency and work permission, but eventually, depending on where they're from, they can get citizen within 5 years or 10 years.
So what's prompted this policy and decree by the government?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because this is something that has been that this political party, this government has wanted to do, had failed to do so far. There was also a citizens initiative in the last couple of years with 700,000 signatures asking for a more humane policy here. The timing is interesting. Of course, the opposition, the right-wing parties are saying they're doing this to cover up the problems from the train accident, the recent train crash in Andalusia. And it is also part of a move to keep this government coalition together, which is a really tenuous coalition for Pedro Sanchez, and he's trying to survive until the next election that has to be called in 2027. So there's some of that going on, and a lot of people feel that what this does is it feeds the very far right party Vox, which is the party that's taking votes away from the right of center party PP, and so there is a lot of criticism for the timing of it and why it's happening politically at this moment.
So taking out the politics, how much support is there for this decree from the Spanish public?
Well, some polls, obviously we don't have polls right away on how the public supports this particular program. I think Sanchez is walking a tightrope here. About 60% of the Spanish public feels there's too many foreign people in the country. Besides migrants that we're really talking about in this one that are poor migrants, we also have lots and lots of wealthy Americans and people from Northern Europe coming in, also knocking the housing market out of whack. But what we're talking about here are people who are already in Spain, right? They have to have been here and prove that they've been here for 5 months, typically by registering. We have local registries in Spain, and that's how you can show where you were living and that you were here legally. Well, they're here illegally, but the idea is to make legal people who've already been here and are probably working under the table in particularly agriculture jobs or domestic work. And shield them from the exploitation that happens when you're working without any kind of protections because you're not here legally.
Where have most of these undocumented migrants come from, and how do they commonly get to Spain?
Yeah, so it's typical. They're mostly from Latin America. So we estimate there's about 850 to 900,000 illegal immigrants in Spain. About 760 of that is from Latin America. There's also a lot of migrants that come to Spain from sub-Saharan Africa because Spain is, of course, the first stop in. They're often coming through the Canary Islands. So there's those type of migrants that are coming by boat. Of course, migrants from Latin America are coming by plane, and it's typical as it is in a lot of countries where migrants come in on a tourist visa and just don't go. And so it's really hard to find these people. But again, they're working in the black market, the hidden economy, and they are contributing. They're contributing to the economy, and that's part of the argument for doing this is they're already contributing, but they're not getting any protections. And so here we are.
Yes, and this is something that the Spanish Central Bank and the UN have said that Spain needs hundreds of thousands of migrants for economic growth, but also to sustain its welfare state. Is that the primary driver of all of this?
Definitely. Spain, like many countries, has very low birth rates. The population is aging. And so there is an estimate that migrants are already contributing about 14% of Spain's social security at the moment. And so that's a big part of it, and that's part of Sanchez's justification for this is Spain needs us economically. Spain's been doing well economically in recent years and has very low unemployment. It's reached under 10%, which has always been a really stubborn figure. So that's another thing that's interesting about this is that Spain needs these workers. They're filling jobs that local people don't want. And again, they're contributing to the economy and particularly to Social Security, which is a real future problem, not just in Spain, but in many countries.
Yes, those who oppose, such immigration would argue, and the far-right groups they would argue that this would open the gates and give an impetus for more illegal migration to happen in Spain. Is that a legitimate concern?
Well, I mean, it always is. It's the same argument that it's a pull factor, that it will bring migrants, and we see this in lots of countries. It's a big argument. There's also the issue within the European Union that there's free movement within the European Union, but there are not laws that no one has the same migration laws within the European Union, and so that's another cause for consternation. But yeah, I mean. Right now, again, with 60% of the Spanish public feeling like there's already too many foreigners in the country, again, this kind of feeds the right-wing narrative that Spain's being invaded, that our national identity is going away. All of these things. It's easy to spin that narrative. But the truth of the matter really is that these migrants are needed. These jobs need to be filled. And so they're actually playing a really important role in the Spanish economy. But as we know, when it comes to public opinion, that can often be, it's not always a rational thing. People are very emotional when it comes to their politics. And so I do think that this is going to be give an advantage to Vox going forward in the next few, whenever there's the next election in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it is quite a fascinating development, and we'll see how this all pans out. Alana Moceri, really appreciate your thoughts on the program. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.